Hey guys, Steve Crawford here again from Experience Wealth, and welcome to another financial life hack. Today I'm talking about something that's pretty close to my heart, teaching kids about how to actually be good with money. The reason why this is so close to my heart is obviously I've got three boys, and they're all aged between say 7 and 13, 14, or the 13-year-old's turning 14. And money it's not the be all and end all for them, but the older they get, obviously, the more it starts to play a role in their life. And so today, what I wanted to do was discuss with you guys how you can help your kids be as good as they can be with money from as early as they can, right? So our job as parents is to help our kids get to the point where they're adults. Now, legally, that might be 18, 21. Some of us might think it's 25. I don't think I was actually an adult until I hit my 30s, but that's a different story for another day. Our job as parents is to teach our kids how to do this stuff without us. And money's no different to all the other life lessons. In fact, a survey actually found that a lot of parents rank teaching their kids about money as something that's even more important than teaching them about success or humility or creativity and things like that. So today what I wanted to do is give you my 5 piggy banks on how to be successful at teaching your kids to manage money. The first thing we're going to do is actually deal with how they think about money. So kids are like sponges, and there's not a lot of research into when children start to actually formulate an understanding of the concept of money. So all we can really take from this is when do they actually start, I suppose, interacting with it. And probably childcare, or around that childcare age of say 2, 3 or 4 is when they're, starting to buy things in pretend shops. You as parents are going to be their number one influencing factor on how they actually develop their views, their attitudes, their behaviors, their values towards money. So I don't want you guys to sort of start freaking out and thinking, oh crap, what am I teaching my kids? If I've got bad money habits, am I going to pass it on to them? But it is obviously something that you need to be mindful of. So what you really want to be doing is thinking not just about the way that you spend your money, but how your children are seeing how you're spending money, your attitudes and your behaviors, and then trying to isolate what are the things that you do that are good money behaviors, and what are the things that you do that are bad money behaviors, and not pretending that the bad money behaviors don't exist. We're all human. What you need to do is just maybe talk to them about how that happens and how you need to manage it. The good money behaviors is obviously the things that we're trying to instill in our kids. So it might be that, you're going out to buy something, or you're with your toddler and you're taking them out for bubbuccino or something like that. And you might say things like, we're going out today, it's a treat, we're shouting ourselves, mummy or mum or dad, we've saved up some money, we've got some spending money that we're going to go and spend on this. It's nice to spend money on things that we like every now and then. The kids really won't start to put the dotted lines together that things actually cost money, I think, until they're getting closer to school age. And even then, it's probably around about that 6 to 7-year-old mark. That's where your next influence is going to come in, is when they actually go to school. And obviously part of that might be any sort of school money programs. In the Australian schooling system, we have the Money Smart for Schools program, which is a great initiative that the government actually put in place. And I'll put some links to that into the notes so that you can see whether your school is a Money Smart school. But there's some little apps and stuff that you can use in there with your kids as well. The next thing that you might see, or actually not even might see, guaranteed you're going to see this, is something like this where it's school banking. Now in Australia, we all know which bank has the absolute monopoly on school banking. And so what you've got to do is actually teach your kids about the good parts that come with school banking and the bad parts. There's a piece of research that shows that 50% of Australians actually still bank with who they banked with at the very beginning, i.e. who they got their school banking with. And that might start to actually make you understand why there's these banks, or this bank in particular, spend so much time and money on the school banking side. School banking's good, right? So I'm not saying that it's a negative, but you've got to understand it for what it is. It's part educational, and it's also part marketing for this certain institution that knows if they get a good relationship with the kids early on by offering them rewards and things like that, that might stem into long-term customer loyalty. So have an opinion on school banking. Don't just automatically sign up for it if if the kids are offered it. Because the role of teaching them around the banking stuff, which we'll talk about later, absolutely sits with you. The last thing you need to think about when it comes to thinking about money is socially. And this is in the schoolyard as kids are starting to get a bit older. And here today I'm really trying to focus in on that sort of first lot of primary school, right up until when kids leave school. Your children are going to be exposed to the way other kids deal with money. And it seems like these days that kids are far more involved in the value of the things that they're getting. So whether it's presents and toys, and then as they get older, clothes. And I mean, we've all had these pressures as we grew up. I feel like today it's more relevant, or it's more prevalent, that kids are being exposed to how much things cost. And then what might come with that is expectations around little Billy sees all his friends getting the latest activity tracker, and why can't he have that, and I don't get as much as them. So you've got to be aware that our kids are growing up in an environment where spending is just the normal, right? Australians in particular have the highest level of debt to income in the world, and we have a love affair with credit. And all of that money goes into buying things. And so our kids aren't immune to this environment, which is why we as parents have to take that responsibility. Be aware of what's going on around us, but take on the job of teaching our kids how to think about money in the right way. And we can absolutely do that, which brings me on to piggy bank number 2. So piggy bank number 1 was getting your kids to think about money the right way. Then piggy bank number 2 is how are they going to earn that money. So obviously when they're starting out as toddies, they're probably not rocking up to one of the local cafe or the local supermarket to apply for a job. So the way that they're probably starting to earn money early on is doing the odd job. So you might give them some money when they help you out. And this is a pretty common way to introduce kids into what's a more normal way to get money, which is obviously pocket money. When you're helping them earn this early money, try as much as possible so that they can actually see the money. So early on, I'd suggest using cash, actual cash. Coins is usually where it is. Watch they don't put it in their mouth. But after that, what you're really trying to do is help them see you did a job, and then you're going to get some money for that. Now, there's some research that sort of splits the camp here to say that with boys, it's better to say, here's $1 or $2, and this is already yours. And if when you do your job, you'll get your money. And with girls, you do it the other way around. You say, when you do this job, you will get $2. So just try and choose the model or the method that's going to work best with your kids, but start to get them used to the idea that to actually get money or earn money, you got to do some jobs. The next thing is into pocket money. So this is something that's been around forever. You know, some kids got pocket money growing up, others didn't. I know I didn't really get it when I was in primary school, but as I got older and into high school, before I got my first job, I did start to get it. And I had a list of jobs that I had to do to be able to do it. So the concept of pocket money isn't unique. What is unique is everybody's attitudes towards pocket money. Pocket money is designed to help your kids get used to the idea that on a regular basis, they will do some work. And in exchange for doing that work, they will get money, and then they can use that money to do things. And I'll talk about that in one of our later piggy banks. The whole idea around pocket money is try and find something that works for you and it works for them. Don't worry about what other people are paying their kids. Don't worry about whether or not you think it's enough. The reality is you're going to spend on your kids what you need to spend on your kids. And if you do it the right way, then everybody's going to be okay. You're not helping them if you're giving them more money than you can afford. You're also not helping them if you're giving them less money than what you think is reasonable, because you're trying to instill with them this attitude that they've got to work harder to get it. Do your own research, ask around your friends. Don't be ashamed to talk about how much pocket money they get. I'll publish notes to the research that we've used, so that you can actually get a bit of an understanding of how much pocket money different families are paying. When it comes to pocket money, and I'll talk about this later as well, you need to, once you give it to the kids, you've also got to sort of set the rules around how they can use it, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. This is all getting them ready for when they start to earn their own money. So this is going to be their first job, right? Now, when they get their first job, they're going to be earning a lot more than what they were earning doing the pocket money. And so what you're really trying to do here is help them right from the first day on that first job, get their money, manage their money, spend their money, save their money the way that you know is going to set them up to be successful in the future. And that brings us up to piggy bank number 3, which is how do they bank their money. The reason why I say this brings us to piggy bank number 3, banking, is obviously when they get a job, they're not going to get cash anymore, right? So they're going to get money put into a bank account. So they need to have a bank account for this to work. So what you should probably be doing with the kids is, most parents, what they'll do is they'll open a bank account with whoever they bank with so that they can see it in their online banking, and that makes sense. But you want to have a deliberate banking structure with your kids when they get that first job. Here's where I'd say try and keep it really simple. Teach them about the 3 types of bank accounts they should have. One for spending, one for storage, and one for savings. So again, I've talked about this lots with our clients, and I know I've spoken about it before. A spending account is where the money goes so that it can be spent today, tomorrow, whenever it is in the really short term. So weekly, monthly is a spending account. A storage account is where you're setting money off aside to be spent at a later time. Now, for us grown-ups, it might be for holidays, entertainment, things like that. For kids, it might be whatever they're interested in. Clothes, sporting equipment, a new hat, video games, anything that they're going to want to spend. So this is not quite a saving type one. This is like a delayed spending. It's going to be spent over the course of the year, just not as soon as the pay hits. And then last of all, you would have a savings account, which is where they're setting their money off for something bigger that they're saving up for. A bike, a really expensive pair of shoes or sneakers, or anything, a guitar, whatever it is that they really got to put a decent amount of effort to get to. The whole point with your banking structure for your kids is, again, keep it simple. Day-to-day spending, which is money for, Macca's or whatever you're going to let them eat, or take money out for, buying some lunch at school, whatever it is. Storage, so there's money going off, and then savings for that big thing down the track. That brings me to piggy bank number 4 on how do you help your kids get great with money or learn how to manage money. How are they going to spend it? So in this instance, I'm a little bit sort of this hybrid of old school and new school. And absolutely, there's a lot of, I sort of believe that by the time my youngest turns 18, maybe cash money might not exist anymore, which would be a little bit sad to have them sort of grow up as an adult in a world where there's no cash anywhere ever. But I think early on what you want them to get used to is the idea that there is cash, and it sort of helps with that tactile exchange of you give me something, a good or a service, and I'll give you something in exchange. Because they can see it and they can see the different colours of the denominations. Obviously in Australia we've got different coloured notes, in the US and it's obviously the same colour. But here you're really trying to get them to feel like I have different value of my money, and I can buy things and it costs different amounts. So cash is a really good way to introduce them, especially the younger ones as well, because they're playing with school setups, at school, in their Money Smart setup, at childcare, there's, the shop that gets created. They might make paper money, things like that. Hopefully there's still Monopoly floating around when they get older. So cash is the first thing that you want to do. The second thing you can consider, now that we're obviously moving to a more online digital money kind of world, is having a separate card, a debit card linked to their bank account. Now, depending on which banking institution you work with, some of them will take a view that they can't get an account in their own name and therefore they can't get a card in their own name until they hit 14, 15, and that's usually to align with the working age. Some banks or some products now enable you to have debit cards with kids from a much younger age, sort of primary school age. So formulate a view here on what you think is a good idea. Now, this bit's not advice. I'm just going to tell you what the Crawfords do. So what the Crawfords do is each of our kids have their own spending account, which is an online banking account, and they have their own savings account. Now, we've then got our bank to give us Visa debit cards in my name linked to each of my kids' bank accounts. The benefit of that is because our kids get both cash pocket money, which is for little odd jobs, but they get digital pocket money. So every week, we transfer money into each of their accounts. And if I open my online banking, I can actually show them how much money they've got in their account and it's linked and they can see their names. What we wanted to make sure was happening is when they go to the shops and buy something with their money, we don't want them to feel like when mum or dad gets their card out that there's some sort of magical thing that happens and they get the thing they want to buy and it doesn't cost anything. They need to see that it costs money. So by doing that structure where the card's in your name, not in theirs, but the account that it's linked to is theirs, you can show the kids in your banking app how the money's going into their account. And then when you buy something, you can take the card out. You can show them, you want to put a sticker on there that has their name on it. You can tap it, which is how most of the purchases are done these days. And then immediately you can get the banking app out and you can show them the transaction and they can see that it's actually coming out of their account. Now, when I've set this up with our kids, they've loved it because they feel like it's their card. The first thing they ask is, can they have their card? No, they can't. We keep it still. But with our other parents, they've loved it as well because moving into a world where, parents give pocket money digitally, grandparents and relatives might be giving money for them for presents and things like that. So they're going to have an account where that money's living, preferably split up, one for spending, one for storage, one for savings. And when they spend it, it's probably going to come out of, and it will definitely come out of an account as well. So that's one tip that I would absolutely say you should be doing for your kids. And then the last thing we've all got to deal with now is, gift cards and the dreaded sort of credit card direct debit transaction that's happening with movies, games. If my kids have got a PlayStation, so they're constantly nagging me to get access to PlayStation Store or whatever the hell the thing's called, where it's a regular subscription and there's an amount that comes out. Every time they want to buy something, it costs stuff. It costs money and it has to come off a card. Don't just do it for them and don't explain how it works. Show them that it's costing money. Show them where that money's actually coming from. Don't give them control, in my opinion, to be able to do these things without you. Even if it's just, downloading something on iTunes and it only costs $1.99. You want them to understand every choice has a consequence and money is no different. The biggest thing that I see with our clients, our parents that are the most successful, they make conscious decisions around their money. Kids are no different. You want them to get to the point where it's into adulthood and they actually understand that they need to make a conscious choice about money. Because when they get older, they're going to get a better job. And when they get a better job, they're going to get offered a credit card. And when they get offered that credit card, they're absolutely going to want to take it. When they take it, you want them already having really good behaviors around money, really good setup around money. So that even if they do take it, we'd suggest they don't, but even if they do, they're consciously making decisions around how they use that card, as opposed to learning at that point with a $1,000, $2,000 limit. And then piggy bank number 5 is saving money. And obviously as a financial planning, financial advice business, we're huge advocates of saving. And with kids, I actually think this is where saving is the simplest because kids save up for something that they really want. Sometimes a lot of our parents that we talk to they've forgotten that what it is to actually save up for stuff because a lot of the time when we get older, the things we're saving up for is paying off our mortgage or buying a house and some of these things are so huge that we sort of lose the sense of, when we started out and what worked about helping us save. And at the end of the day, There's a saying, good things come to those who wait. I know with kids it's so hard for them to understand, especially the younger ones, that just because they have money, they don't need to spend it straight away. So help them as best as you can with any of their delayed spending gratification or their savings stuff. Sit down with magazines, cut it out, the picture of what they want, create a tracker. Again, check out the Money Smart site that's got some budget, some tracking tools in there. A lot of the online banking now allows you to put different pictures onto the bank accounts as a logo so that they can see. I know some of the budgeting apps or the banking apps do that as well. Help them see that just the money's not going off into this big black hole and they're never going to get to use it. Help them see what it is that they want to save for, that they're progressing towards it, and then ultimately they'll feel a lot better when they get there and they buy that sort of first big thing. And they'll feel the hurt of it as well if they, break it or lose it. Hopefully they don't, but that's what our job is to get them ready for that. So guys, there you go. That's my 5 piggy banks to help your kids get better at managing or become experts right from the outset at managing their money. The number one thing that I'd say with all of this is talk to your kids. Help them help you understand what works for them. Stay open to the idea that they probably are growing up in an environment where money and the way we all interact with money is going to move faster than it ever has before. And we need to be involved in that. We're not going to delegate the responsibility to our local friendly school banking lady, whether she does or doesn't have vested interests. We're not going to wait until they get a job and then help them sort of figure this stuff out themselves. It's a role that we were born to play. It's one that I know that we can do really well. So guys, as always, if you've liked this video and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe. Check out the links for all of the tips and the resources that I've put in there. Visit the website for more information, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.